Hello there folks, it is TIJ Gaming and welcome back to the MotoGP 18 Championship with Valentino Rossi in the Yamaha MotoGP team. Now, I said that last Sunday's episode was a pilot, but honestly, after getting more than 100 views on that episode, there was no way that was going to stop. And before I continue, I just want to thank you guys so much for the interaction and the response that I got off that video. It was tremendous. I didn't expect it whatsoever. Admittedly, I think possibly the views might have been hyped a little bit by the Qatar Grand Prix that had happened before it, but nonetheless it was a really good reaction to the video, and I think that I can't possibly leave it there at part 1. So it's part 2 today. This series is going to be a series that's going to be on the channel every week now on a Monday and a Friday at 6 PM, so apologies to those fans of the Ashes cricket videos, although it was the weakest performing series out of the three and probably the series I enjoyed the least, although I have to say it's only been one race and I really enjoyed the Qatar Grand Prix. But this is part 2 of this career mode. I'd completely recommend you go back and watch that first video if you haven't done already, just to get an insight into how the first race went. But the first thing we need to do is increase the AI difficulty a little bit, because last time out we trounced qualifying and possibly had a bit of a better race because of it. Now we're going to change the... yeah, actually, that's fine. AI difficulty at 85 rather than 80, and we're going to change rather to random rather than clear. Just make it a little bit more interesting potentially for a wet race. But we're going to start with the Argentinian Grand Prix, the second Grand Prix of the year. It's quite a jaunt really if you think about it, from Qatar all the way down to Argentina. It's not the former Formula 1, blimey, former and formula is a tricky bunch of words to say, but I really like this track. I've really liked this track since I started playing the MotoGP games back in the day. I quite like the circuit to race on. As you can see, there's a nice overhead of the circuit, a few big straights, particularly the front straight, and as you can see, that big straight that's in the corner of your image, it's at the end of the first intermediate. But it's nearly a 5 kilometre track that goes to about 3.5 mile, let's say accurately. It's not that accurate, but oh well. But the straights take up a mile, well, just under a mile, and it's decent width, and as you can see, some good stats there about the track. But we're going to have to go through Q1 again, which I'll remind you once again for you folks that aren't too into MotoGP, that if you don't qualify in the top, if you don't finish in the top 12, it's the top 10 actually, sorry, the top 10 in FP2 on Friday, then you are automatically entered into this Q1 session. We obviously don't do the FP session, so we're entered into the Q1 session every weekend. We might consider perhaps near the end of the championship trying to get into Q2 just for a bit of advantage, but I think at this point going into Q1 is fine. But of course, again, just to remember, we need to finish in the top 2 in this session to make sure we go through to Q2. Now the track looks fine, looks brilliant to me. I really like the visuals on this game. It looks really nice to me, and I was quite astounded by the visuals on the game and the kind of presentation style. MotoGP games have never really had that particularly before, but this year more than ever it's so crisp. And it seems that Milestone did announce a MotoGP 19 game a few days ago, so if you want to see some content on that, make sure to leave some big support on this, and that'll definitely be done on the channel. But a bit of a shock in this session with Danilo Petrucci on the on the bike even. I keep thinking of Formula 1 here. Danilo Petrucci on the bike in Q1 with the Alma Pramac Ducati team. That's an interesting one. Both Aprilia's in here. To be honest, that's not much of a surprise. Nakagami, that is the teammate of Cal Crutchlow on the LCR Honda. But the biggest surprise, obviously, ourselves, and probably Petrucci on the Ducati. But you never know, some of the KTMs might perform well. There's some real drivers on, some real riders, sorry, I have to get used to that, but there's some real riders on this in this grid that could make a very interesting qualifying session. But fundamentally, we're going to have to get out there and make sure that we finish in P1 or P2. So let's go and do a few laps. I think we need a bit of a warm-up lap just to get used to this track. It's been a long while since I've raced this track, and equally a few days since I've raced on the game as well. So let's go and do it, and that's not the best start, but let's just go and do a banker lap. So we're coming up to the end of our banker lap. To be fair, it's been fairly solid. We haven't made any mistakes. It's been a bit of a stroll rather than a real push lap, but that's what a banker lap's all about, getting used to the circuit. We've got 12 minutes left, so we have got plenty of time, and I'm sure this will be a fairly competitive time, although I hope it's not a second above the rest. I hope that moving up that AI difficulty will give us a bit more of a challenge, particularly in this session, but not too much that we're knocked out in last. I think that's a bit unrealistic, but I relish a challenge, and I think Valley could do with one as well after that easy pole position last week. But in real life, it was a disaster, wasn't it, the Qatar Grand Prix for Rossi, particularly in qualifying. Down in 18th place, I think. I think it was 18th Valley started, but in usual Rossi fashion, he finished in P5. What's not to admire about that? Hopefully, we can have a bit of his inner spirit today in qualifying. Well, we've pushed really hard in that third sector. We had a bit of a scrappy start to the lap, particularly in the first sector that put us 2 tenths down. We lost a further tenth in the second sector, but we are really pushing now. If we can get past Espargaro at this last corner, that'll be great. But unfortunately, I think we've outbraked ourselves a little bit too much. Don't want to hit Espargaro here, which we have a little bit. Can we improve our time, though? We can actually a little bit by just over a tenth. And I'm not sure that'll be enough to get into Q2, but I think we're going to come into the pits now and see if it is. Well, this is ridiculous. I mean, I've turned the AI difficulty up. Look at this. We're 2 seconds clear. We're not that good, are we? Surely not. Well, the driver that I'd expected to be, and it's the rider, not the driver, sorry. The rider who I expect to be in the next session, Petrucci, is way off the pace. And it's Pol Espargaro. I tipped him kind of earlier on in the season. Not in the season, but in the session to get through to Q2. But absolutely dominant we were on that Yamaha there. Hope there's a bit more opposition for this next session, but I think if we keep putting laps in like that, we will need to significantly increase the difficulty. But it might be a lot closer in this last session, but being 2 seconds above isn't really that convincing. But a really good last lap, really pushing there. But as I say, even on a bank lap where we didn't go particularly quickly, we were top of the field, so we might have to consider that. But I think the race are a lot closer anyway, so I wouldn't have to worry about that. But nonetheless, it's fairly easily through to Q2. I'm not going to complain about that. And now it's time to see if we can go pole position for the 2nd race in a row. Right, we fast forwarded a little bit. We are going to go out on track now. Dovi clear by 7 tenths of a second up to Vinales. But the worrying thing is they were a second off our time in terms of being slower than it. So we can get another easy pole position, it seems, here. So I think we might have to move the position up, the difficulty up quite a bit. But we've got to perform that lap yet. You know, nothing is guaranteed here. And we've got to perform a lap that's similar. But in theory, we should get pole position here. But yeah, I think we might have to move the difficulty up slightly for the next. But saying that, we only finished 10th in Qatar. So yeah, it's not so much our race pace, it's our quali pace which flatters us a little bit. Oh, we're off. That's not the best way to start the lap, is it? Tried to be a bit aggressive around that corner there, and that's our first off of the weekend. So this lap's going to be scrapped. We're going to be quite a way off, as you can see, 6 seconds off. I don't think that'll put us in the top 5 or 6. But we can use this as a banker lap, but we might need to make sure that's our only crash. I think we... Ooh, it's gone again! Is the bike damaged? I mean, we practically just broke there, and we didn't get a response to the bike. It just slipped. Is there damage on this bike? I can't really see. We need to get out of the way of Dovi here. I can't see. I don't think there's any visible damage. We'll just have to see how it rides now, but it might be damaged, and that's not the best thing, is it, really? Oh, that was close. We just managed to control that. I'm not confident in this bike, I have to say. It feels there's a little bit of damage, and there's a little bit of twitching from other places. That might be my confidence lacking a little bit, but look at that. Nearly half a second up, so I don't think we've got anything to fear here unless we bin it again, but we need to keep on the bike, and that's becoming an increasing problem. I think there is definitely something wrong with this bike, but because of a virtue of just AI that are quite slow on 1 lap pace, we should be able to still get pole here, but it's nothing's a definite. Coming around this left-hander, been struggling to get grip out of here ever since we had the crash, but we've got it just about. A little bit of cutting there, but we are 3 tenths down now after that sector, so that could have really hampered us. It would be unfair. Oh, wow. There goes Marquez. I did not realise that. So, they can match us. It's official. They can match what we've done. Marc Marquez, I think it's fair to say that in a few years' time, he will be the GOAT. Marc Marquez will be the GOAT come 5-10 years' time, because I think he will eclipse Valentino Rossi. But 3 great rivals, Marquez, Rossi, Dovizioso, at the moment, going to be on the front row. We are about 7 tenths down from Marquez, but because he's gone and challenged our time now, I feel a bit of fire in the belly. We're going to go for this. A 10th down in the first sector. A little bit slippy out of that corner there. Not slippy in terms of the track, but just the bike didn't quite do what I wanted it to do, and hence why we had to correct it a little bit. But really aggressive into this corner now. It seems that if it does stay like this, Marquez will take his first pole of the season, which is no surprise here in Argentina. But we're really pushing the limits now. 2 tenths down, but we saw in that second lap of Q2 that we can get all the time back in this sector, although we've got to perform a similar... well, no, it was Q1, not Q... Did I say the second lap of Q1? I can't really remember, to be honest. But we've got to recoup the time, and this sector is going to be crucial. This left-hander, we took it much better than we did last time. We've gained a lot on Dovi. This is going to put us at the end of this sector. 3/10 up on Marquez. Now we've got to keep that advantage coming up to the line, but it's going to be tricky. We're going to push as much as possible just to retain that time. Are we going to push it past Dovi? I don't know. We're just going to be quite cautious coming into this corner. We don't want to take Dovi out, but quite well braked into here. Can we move to another standard? We've come through the last few corners now. We're past Dovi, and it's a 1:34.8. Well, Marquez thought he'd gone to a new standard, and then we went even more. 7/10 clear of Marquez, and it seems that ourselves and Marquez are going to be way above the field, and equally we're going to be way above the field. What a lap that was, but oh, we don't want to get into the wall there, but yeah, I think that hopefully it should be a good race tomorrow, hopefully on the podium, but I think really we probably need to move that difficulty up. Yeah, it does confirm the bike is injured, if you like. But at the end of the session, it's a common theme. Once again, it's ourselves, Marquez, and Dovi on the front row. Although it's impressive from Johan Zarco to be 5th on that satellite Yamaha. Viñales competing in 4th. Crutchlow, good to see him in 6th. Lorenzo all the way down in 7th, not performing the best so far this year. Dani Pedrosa in 12th. And to be honest, Espargaro on the KTM, a little bit out of his league. But it's going to be time for the Argentina Grand Prix, the Gran Premio Motil de la República Argentina at the Termaster Rio Hondo circuit. That's me done for translations today. But let's see how we get on in this mighty race.
Hello and welcome to the Termaster Rio Hondo circuit in Argentina for live coverage of the MotoGP race. There are some impressive crowds here today despite the rain you can see coming down. A reminder that this is always a popular event. We are moving now to the starting grid, where the MotoGP riders are ready to start the race. Tension is sky high, but these guys are seasoned pros, able to withstand any kind of pressure.
Well, there you go, there's Jorge Lorenzo on the 3rd row of the grid. Doesn't look particularly happy, and Viñales the row above him in 4th. I did hear something about a little bit of overcast rain potentially in that little build-up, but I think it looks sunny enough. I think we're okay. And on the warm-up lap we go. As I say, a little bit disappointing from Lorenzo again, down in 7th place, but there's a common theme in both of the races so far. It's been a Yamaha, a Honda, and a Duke on the front row. And they go in the order of Rossi, Marquez, and Dovi. Now, if my memory serves me correctly, Marquez won the first race at Qatar after Dovi held him off for the whole race. Will the same happen today? Will we get our first race win of the season? Or will it be Marquez's second, Dovi's first? Or will it be the same as it was? Or even maybe Viñales, or maybe even Johan Zarco for a shock win here. Here we go. We're getting ready for the start of the Grand Prix. I love this pre-Grand Prix shot. I think it's fantastic. We've got to get a better start this time, but crucially we are on the outside. Let's get focused. The lights are on, and we are away. Bit of a better start that time, but again, not mugged that time, but Marquez just with a better start. Much better than the last time though. Only down to 3rd, coming into the first corner. Marquez takes the lead. We've got Cal Crutchlow on our inside. Don't want to whack into him, but there's a real dice for the lead at the start. Look at that, Dovi and Marquez right up with each other, but not going to get involved in any silliness. Oh, Zarco's coming in. Crutchlow, a good start for him, although we've got bikes coming from all angles trying to overtake us. This could be a bit awkward, and we're down. Oh dear, we've done it again. Oh dear, we've done it again. We tried to stay out of trouble. Oh, it's gutting. We tried to stay out of trouble. We only tapped Johan Zarco. Just trying to push the bike out to get into that right-hander, and that is gutting. Oh, Jack Miller moves into 3rd place on that and on the Ducati bike. That's quite incredible to see where he is, but oh, that's so gutting. Dani Pedrosa down to 14th place on the Honda. Very bad for him, but blimey, this is going to be a tricky race now, but we need to stop. We need to cut this out at the start. A good start we had there, but just unfortunate, I think, to fall off after hitting Zarco. But I would have loved to have that battle with Marquez and Dovi, but we're going to have to keep up with the pack, or else we're going to be left for dead here. And just like that, we're pretty much back up to the pack. We've gained very quickly. There's a KTM back there. I'd guess that would be the KTM of Bradley Smith. Dovi's took the lead with a fastest lap of 1:37.4. We're going to go on the outside of this turn 1 to try and get past Franco Morbidelli on the Mark VDS bike. And I think that's probably Tito Rabat in 22nd, I think. But Morbidelli's staying strong. Not the best line route this outside here. But we're going to try and pick up a few bikes. Nakagami as well. Disappointing from him to be all the way down here. Right, let's make sure we actually get into this corner this time without crashing. But we pick off 3 bikes there really well. But, oh god, they've all pretty much got back past, have they? That wasn't the best line to take. But we've got the slipstream on the Yamaha satellite bike in Javi Shireen. We've got past Abraham on the straight. Shireen, the same goes for him. The same will probably go for Bradley Smith. And we brake fairly late into this corner. Look at the bike wobble there going into the braking zone. Not the best. But Bradley Smith trying to go for it. What were you doing, Bradley? What were you doing? Oh, Bradley Smith, what were you doing? Oh, goodness sake. All the time we'd made up there. And Bradley Smith, I'm sorry, drives into us. What is he doing? What on earth was that, Bradley? And a race where we qualified pole. Qualifying was beautiful. It's all just gone to ruin. And Bradley Smith, what was he doing there? I mean, he was on the inside, but he drove into us, and that's shocking. Vinales got past Marquez, so he's doing his bit for Yamaha, but fundamentally, if we can't get into the points here, that's going to be really damning for our championship chances, even 2 races into this Grand Prix season. But it seems all familiar surroundings. We've got Tom Luthi behind Morbidelli. Morbidelli's obviously took a place there, but I can still not believe Bradley Smith there. I mean, we've left Bradley Smith, that shows how competitive we are, but we've got to be aggressive, we've got to be quick here. But at the same time, we don't want to fall for a 3rd time because that will definitely be over by then. But the aspiration is still definitely to get points in this race. So we've got a big line on this big straight here. I don't think the leaders are anywhere in sight. Now that's not going to be an achievement we can possibly get to. But up the inside of Franco Morbidelli, I think we'll go here. But let's be sensible about it. Let's not get knocked off the bike for a 3rd time in 3 laps. We negotiate that corner successfully, get past Frankie Morbidelli, or Franco Morbidelli even. Try and get past Abraham for a 2nd time. We'll take that there and Javi Shire in. We're on the inside of him on the Yamaha satellite, and that's up the inside of Nakagami as well, and even Simeon to make up a triple move. A little bit wide, we've pushed him there, apologies, but we've given him the space. He's back on. We're just going to be careful we don't tap him too much to fall off the bike. Oh, he's cut into us there, but to be fair, that is the racing line. Keep it up the inside, that's nice. Right, we've got past Simeon. Now it's this Brillia of Elias Sparker all the way around him on the inside. Brilliant pace we've got on this Yamaha. That's why it's such a shame we aren't battling at the front, but just some awful mistakes we've made. Now Scott Redding on the Ducati. No, it's not the Ducati, sorry, it's the Aprilia. Of course it is. The teammate of Dovi of Espargaro there. We got all out of shape there. And Vinales has took the lead of the race. Well, what a start it has been for him. It's clear that both of the Yamahas have got pace round here this week. And as you can see, we've set the fastest lap of the race. And unbelievably there, I think that's Danny Pedrosa in front of Alvaro Bautista. Behind the KTM of Pol Espargaro. Very harsh that is on Pedrosa to be all the way down there. It's in a bit of a battle though, and I still... Oh, whoops-a-daisy. Oh, Morbidelli's off. Morbidelli's crashed near the back of the grid. That's unfortunate for him. That's got nothing to do with us at this point. We've got a really good run on Alvaro Bautista. Only about a 10th off him. We're going to gain all that time on the straight. We rushed past him on the Pull and Bear Aspar bike. As you see, the bike getting very tentative down into this corner. But the way we're pushing, it's bound to. But as long as we don't fall off again, we should be alright. That's very close to the front tyre clipping our rear there. And that would have put us all out of shape. But next up is Danny Pedrosa. Unbelievable he's that far down. It's fair to say they're having a real dice up ahead, aren't they? Rabat, Pedrosa, and that's got to be Pol Espargaro because we crashed into Bradley Smith. He can't have overtook us again. Look at that. They're practically all pushed each other wide now, and we're going to try and do the triple overtake here. Espargaro's really lost out to Rabat and Danny, but they're all fairly much staying on the racing line here. We go out on the onto the grass. But we can get past Espargaro here, round the outside on Pedrosa. We could get in the middle of him, and oh dear. Well, we've caused a crash there. Apologies to Tito Rabat. Couldn't do much about it. We caused that, definitely, but apologies for that, Tito. We're not going to be penalised for it. There's a crash up ahead, it looks like. Is there a crash up ahead? That's a KTM. We don't want to hit him. Deary me, we're not doing well, are we, today, in terms of our competitive streaks. Up the inside of Danny though, and unbelievably, after 2 incidents, we are up into the top 10. That really shows how aggressive we've been today, but also probably highlights that we probably need to move the AI up for the next race. Oh, it's Vinales who's fell. It's Maverick Vinales. We're 2.5 seconds behind our teammate. Cruel look that is. Oh, Christ, that's a tricky corner. But it must have been Vinales who fell off the bike from the lead of the race. So it's going to be Marquez and Dovi at the front, which really doesn't help our championship chance, particularly if they're nicking all the points. Not like it's even equally distributed. Those two at the front. Vinales with a poor race after falling, but we can't really criticise after we fell off twice in this race already. But top 10 would be a very good performance here. On to the final lap then of the Argentinian Grand Prix. I apologise for not being that excited. It could have been a really big race at the front, but unfortunately we jeopardised that at turn 4. We don't need to talk about that anymore, but as you can see, our teammate just up ahead past Andrea Iannone. Can we get into 9th or even 8th place? There's a battle going ahead between Iannone and Suzuki. Vinales on the Yamaha, and I would guess Alex Rins on the other Suzuki in front of Mav, our teammate, of course, on the Yamaha bike. But just a second behind Iannone. That can be very quickly done. We've run away from Danny Pedrosa, who's had quite a poor race. Just keep on the bike at this corner, which, as I say, I'm not a big fan of, but we're okay. Mav really fighting with the Suzuki's up ahead. It feels like he could do with a hand, although he doesn't really, because he's just got to pass both of them. So it's going to be tight. It might be P11 for us here, unless we really push it, and that might be dangerous. Oh, we've gone completely wide there. But we don't really gain anything, so hence why there's no penalty there. They're a little bit too far ahead though now. I think that definitely 8th is our limit. It looks like Jorge Lorenzo up in 7th place. Be interested to see who wins the Grand Prix. But it might be 11th that's our limit here, unless we have a really good run out of here, which we could do, to be fair. A little bit of a wheelie going on there. Get a good run here. 4/10 is the gap to Iannone. It gets smaller and smaller, but there is only 1 corner left after this. We cannot bugger it up after what happened in the last few laps, but we're going to dive up the inside anyway, into the braking zone. Up the inside of Andrea Iannone, maybe on Rins. Oh dear. Well, we're going to give Iannone the position there, just in fairness of the constructor. But we took out Rins at the last there. That wasn't the best thing to do. Too risky from us there. But no penalty given. And we do finish in 10th place in the Argentinian Grand Prix. Gutting to see that was, but Dovi is the winner of the Argentinian Grand Prix. Marquez up in 2nd, Crutchlow in 3rd. The top 4 all within a second of each other. That would have been brilliant. A fantastic achievement from Miller and Petrucci, beating the factory Ducati of Lorenzo. Ourselves down in 10th with a really good fastest lap. But it's not going to be great for the championship, is it? It's Dovi on 45 points. Yeah, it was Marquez who won the first, so they're on equal points, quite a way ahead of Crutchlow on 29. But as you can see, we're just in that top 9 with 13 points to our name. Not great, but oh well, we'll come back in the next one. We've got 37 points in the title race so far. As you can see, Lorenzo really underperforming in that Dovi and Lorenzo partnership at Ducati. But it was an interesting race, that was. Not really good enough from our side, to be honest. We took out a few riders there, which is never the greatest thing to do, but ultimately we were taken out ourselves at the start by Bradley Smith. So let me know your opinions on that in the comments. But I think, folks, that is where we're going to leave for today's episode. So I hope you've enjoyed. I certainly have. And as I say, it'd be great for some more likes on the video, just to see that you guys are still up for this series going into the next week's Grand Prix, which will be the Texan Grand Prix at the Circuit of Americas, in America, of course, in the USA, for the US Grand Prix. That'll be a bag of fun. And yeah, I think we'll move up the AI difficulty slightly before the next event, but it would help if we could stay on the bike, wouldn't it? That's my closing thought. Thank you very much for watching, folks. I have been TIJ Gaming, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.